Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Lindsay and we are talking the Real Housewives. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Beverly Hills because there's so much going on. They've been making the headlines in the press lately. People could not quit talking about Morgan Wade, Kathy Hilton, Kyle Richards, Kim Richards making an appearance on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, also making an appearance at Kathy Hilton's party. There were some photos posted, and some people weren't being very nice about Kim, which we kind of always get that in the press here and there, but we're going to talk about that. And also, allegedly, I also want to talk about Denise and Camille when they were on the show, because Teddy Mellencamp was alleging that they didn't get paid. Like, they didn't care that they didn't get paid, but they didn't get paid. So, of course, everything in this video is alleged. Guys, make sure that you are following me on Instagram, Twitter, HW Historian, the number 2. My friend Lisa from NYC Gal Out, she hosts me every Thursday and we do a recap on Beverly Hills. So that's always a great time as well. And let's get into this. I wanted to start out most importantly because I feel like for whatever reason, Kyle is, of course, we're seeing Morgan on the show a little bit, but nobody's talking about the fact that Kyle started a production company and took Morgan on as a client, and allegedly is in the works of doing a documentary on her, and was in charge of the production of her video that she also did. If you guys remember the video of Kyle and Morgan, and they're washing the car, and it's sort of a sexual video. If you guys remember that was allegedly Kyle's production company. So this company was started by Kyle, but nobody is mentioning the fact that they have this work relationship now. And obviously, if you watch that Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show, I posted a couple of clips on my Instagram. You notice that the women aren't aware of what's going on with Kyle and Morgan in the scenes that they're filming. They didn't know about the tattoos. There's just some different things they didn't know. And when they do the Real Housewives after show, the producers asked them questions, and they had Garcelle and Sutton set up to do their set, and then Kyle and Erica were set up to do their set together. And they pretty much went back and forth between the two, showing everyone's perspective being completely different than what even the audience saw. So basically, Kyle isn't telling us a lot. She's still not telling us a lot. She's not telling the ladies that she's tattooing Morgan. The ladies say that tattooing is like pretty intense sort of thing that you do with a friend. And they noticed, even Dorit says on Watch What Happens Live, that her friendship, the closer that Kyle got to Morgan, the further that she, took away from Dorito. PK is also making headlines because he has taken he's on the defense about what was said about his setup with the whole Pretty Woman scene for Dorito for their anniversary. If you remember, Julia Roberts went on Watch What Happens Live, and Andy Cohen did not miss his opportunity to, of course, bring up the scene, ask her what her thoughts were. I thought it was very shady, her answers, and PK has went and commented on some bloggers who posted this video, basically saying that he didn't think it was shade and yada, 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 but it very much so was. Then we also have, guys, Potomac that was airing on Sunday night. Teresa Giudice from the Real Housewives of New Jersey is in Dublin, and she's working on some sort of, I don't know what we're going to see, some sort of production, I guess, from Dublin. So that's exciting. Denise Richards, again, making more headlines because after she was allegedly trashed at this weed party, if you guys go back and watch the scene, there's actually a chef in the background who says something along the lines like, Denise Richards is effed up. And so then she goes to lunch with the ladies and she tells them about her issues with Erica and how it all revolves around the party that she had where the ladies were talking inappropriately in front of her children. Dorit was asked on Watch What Happens Live about Denise and Denise's little jacket that she was wearing. And Denise, Dorit claims, of course, again, that she was really just trying to look out for Denise. This is what prompted Teddy to say that she wanted to know who actually styled Denise because of the puffy pink jacket. And Kyle claimed that Denise really never had her own glam, and she sort of introduced her to her glam, and that's who would take care of her, allegedly. I found it also interesting that at Kathy Hilton's Christmas party, she invited Morgan. Morgan and Kyle took a lot of photos together. They took photos with Paris together. Kathy, it was pretty much Kyle and Morgan and whomever. So it was always Kyle and Morgan in the photo, somebody else stepping in. What are your guys' thoughts on Morgan and Kyle after seeing what we've seen on the show? Now we've sort of seen how they interact with each other. We also cannot forget that Morgan's ex-girlfriend was on TikTok, and she was doing videos not naming Kyle, but sort of naming Kyle, saying it without saying it. And she was sort of crying. Well, she was outright crying in one video about her relationship with Morgan and how Morgan has moved on with this famous person. And Morgan came to LA to do a show, and the ex-girlfriend wanted to go to the show, but Kyle was at the show, and so she didn't go. And then she made a TikTok about it, and it really blew up because people knew that this was Morgan Wade's ex-girlfriend, and that she's clearly talking about Morgan moving on with someone, and it's evident that it's Kyle from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Morgan says herself, her and her friends were starstruck with Kyle. They didn't know anyone from Beverly Hills. I'm not sure where Morgan is from, but again, Kyle's starting this whole production company and then taking Morgan Wade on as her first client. I thought that we would see some of this on the show, and it's kind of confusing to me why we're not. Is it because she doesn't want to bring it on the show because she doesn't want to have to share any proceeds or anything with Bravo? Because if she talks about it on the show, then of course Bravo gets a cut of it. Or has she not started the production company thus yet? And she wanted people to think that her relationship with Morgan was more business than personal. And so they hurried up and created this production company, and we're like, oh, no, we're actually doing a documentary on Morgan, and we're going to produce this music video, and, et cetera, et cetera. Also, it looks like Real Housewives of Atlanta star Kenya Moore has finally finalized her divorce. She posted an encrypted message on Twitter yesterday asking Team Twirl just to pray for her, that there was a door closing to another one opening. Hey, Alan, how are you? I miss you and love you. We have to chat and catch up. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Alan likes to talk Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and his homegirl, Erica Jane. She actually is supposed to be getting a 6-part spinoff that is filmed during her Vegas residency. So it's already been filmed. A lot of discussion about Bravo sort of giving Erica a little bit of a better spin, a better edit than the last couple of years, because they have this 6-part special coming up. It's either a 3-part or a 6-part, and it's about Erica during her residency. And Erica, she has a lot of connections. If you guys noticed, Mikey, who was her choreographer and I don't know exactly what his title was. Like, he was very much manager to her and her, but he did her dance and stuff with her and her costumes and everything. And it seems that he's in Vegas doing the same thing for Magic Mike. If you guys notice, now that we're like talking so much about the elevator scene because Sutton has recreated it, when we go back and look at the elevator scene, it's Mikey in the elevator with all the dancers from Magic Mike. So I'm like, I wonder how that works. Like, he's been affiliated with Erica for a long, long, long time. And I don't know. I'm just wondering how all of that is going down. Not gonna lie, Bravo used her worst moments for TV the last few years, and they owe her. They oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they hit gold. Alan, when all this happened with Tom, I mean, Bravo they weren't upset about it because they were going to be getting a lot of press for it, and a lot of people watched because of everything that was transpiring with Tom in the headlines. If you guys don't know, Tom has been criminally indicted, as well as the CFO of Girardi and Keese, who is actually sitting in jail in New York City on $1 million bond because he was also indicted criminally. So an update on Tom is they had to find him mentally competent for his civil case and now his criminal case. Okay. He's been found competent in his civil case, so that will move forward. But in the courtroom, he told the prosecutor to F off from his chair. Like, he said the whole thing. And the prosecutor was like, pause. Can the court stenographer please note that Mr. Girardi just mouthed the words "fuck you" in the courtroom to me? So that kind of tells me, I feel like he knows what's going on. He knows the prosecutor is the bad guy. And I feel like if he wasn't all up here, he wouldn't know that. Also, he was found competent in his civil case. His criminal case, it's insane to me that he's even out without a bond. Because to me, even though he could possibly allegedly have dementia and he is in a nursing home, he's not in a lockdown facility. I mean, yeah, he is, but he isn't. He also potentially could be a flight risk. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but the man has a lot of connections. He has a lot of political connections as well. So it's a little unfair as well to the gentleman who was the CFO to Girardi and Keese, who is sitting in a federal holding county jail waiting his trial. Because I'm going to tell you what, that old folks home looks like cupcake camp compared to the county where the CFO is. Let me look real quick up Tom Girardi and so it was a federal indictment. If you guys don't know, it was with 5 counts of wire fraud is what they charged him with which really is not shit compared to what he was doing. I think that, and I've said this before, if you guys are regular followers, then you know this. If he was giving money to political people who are still very much involved in the local, state, federal levels within California or the United States, we know that Tom and Erica were big, and I'm not saying Democrat or Republican. I'm just saying Tom and Erica gave tens of thousands of dollars to their political parties. And we don't really, maybe there were arrangements made. And when you have something like that, and you have a dirty prosecutor, you have a dirty judge, you have to go back and relook at all of these cases. It puts potential other cases at danger for like appeals, for, just it makes a mess of things within the court and within the judicial system. So I'm sure they had to be very careful how they charge Tom, because they don't want it to involve or go any deeper than they want it to, because it could involve a lot of people. Alan said, just like Epstein, he has so much dirt on people in that town as well. Thank you, Alan. You are exactly correct. He has so much dirt. It was alleged that after all of this went down, that the feds went in hazmat suits and actually took all of Tom's paperwork, boxes and boxes of paperwork, because Tom was old school and he had paper files, and he had been doing this since like the 60s, guys. He probably had files on just about everyone in Hollywood. So they raided and took everything that they could, because they knew that he had a lot of powerful information, I'm sure. It's true. Barbara says it's true, because a senator from California was on Watch What Happens Live, and he told Andy Cohen that Tom Girardi was his biggest endorsement. This was before Tom was caught with all the blood on his hand. Exactly. I mean, we see it in the first time that we're introduced to Erica and Tom. They're having lunch, and I think it's like the chief of police from LA comes over. Oh, hey, what are you guys doing here? This is so crazy running into you guys. What? Like, it seemed planned. And if you guys don't know, I haven't said this a lot, but I spoke to someone probably about a year or two, about a year and a half ago. And she and two other people of her friends, they were writers for like Hollywood scripts and shows and stuff. And they had put together this sitcom, and they had, this was like before, right before Erica went on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And they pitched it to this network that said, "Oh, no, 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 we don't want it, we don't want it." And then they turned around and took their idea and did a sitcom and then just renamed it, right? So it was allegedly like NBC. Somehow Tom Girardi gets word of this trial, gets word of these people, gets a hold of them and says, "Let me help you get what is rightfully yours. Like, I will represent you, no money up front, and we are going to take it to the bank, to NBC." So she says, and I talked to her on the phone for like over an hour, allegedly. She says, like, they got everything together. They filed the correct paperwork. They started to put the things in motion all the way up until going to court, starting to testify. She says, like, right before they're like ready to wrap things up, Tom comes to her and her friends, and they say, "Look, we're so sorry, but there's nothing we can do. Like, they are too powerful, yada yada yada. I'm so sorry. We can't do anything." And then the next season, Erica was on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And so she alleged that she got information later on, and it was them basically saying that Tom threw that case on purpose to get Erica onto the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It would be just like if somebody was a football player and they threw the game. They threw the game. They threw a bad pass on purpose. Lawyers do this. Judges, prosecutors, these are the sort of backdoor deals that happen, and the judges chant these things happen. And that's why you got to trust your attorney, because he has to give people up sometimes too. Your attorney can't win every time, right? So yeah, allegedly she very much claimed that she had several people, sources, documents, whatever you want to say, that he had sort of hooked up this backdoor deal with NBC over this case that he was suing them about. And that's how Erica originally got onto the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Now, sometimes I honestly think that Tom started stealing the money and Erica was like starting out with her singing career. And I almost think that he thought she was going to make it so big that he wouldn't have to worry about money. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he was like, "Oh, I'm just going to take this because Erica is about to be a star. She's about to be a singer. She's on the Real Housewives." Even though Tom Girardi has reported himself as saying, "Don't do a reality show. Don't ever do a reality show." He didn't take his own advice. That was actually in the Hulu series. They used to tell his people, his clients, his friends, never, ever, ever do a reality show. So Tom, again, like I said, his co-defendant, which a co-defendant is someone that you guys are together on a case being charged. So Tom Girardi and his co-defendant, who happened to be the CFO, are both charged in this indictment. So I want to see when his next court date is, because again, they have to do their next step is to see if he's competent to hold trial for federal. It wouldn't make a lot of sense if he was found competent for his civil case and not for his criminal case, but you never know. I mean, and the judicial system can be milked in a way that you can continue to put in time, waivers and push the case back and push the case back and push the case back. I mean, my God, he's already 83 years old, right? If in a couple more years, prison's not even going to want him because it's going to cost them so much money to house him and take care of him medically that they're not even going to want him. Let's see if we can find a court dates. So in February is when he had he has indictments out of Chicago. And you know what? I didn't realize this. They indicted his son-in-law too. Did you guys know that? His son-in-law worked at Girardi and Keese as well, but they've managed to keep his daughter and son-in-law pretty much out of the press. But when they talk about these accounts that had 25 debit cards that were linked to Girardi's closest friends and family, and everyone was taking money out that, every day they would go and take out like the maximum amount for each card. It is people like his son-in-law and his daughter that worked at Girardi and Keese that we're not really hearing. I can't even find a picture of his daughter for real. And they could have been and likely were just as much involved. And Erica could potentially have been really throwing his daughter and her husband to the wolves if she wanted to, because David, the son-in-law, worked at Girardi and Keese. So if I was Erica, I'd be like, what's this man over here doing? Look at his son-in-law and his daughter. Like, that's crazy. So, he did have to make an appearance, and he pled not guilty on 5 counts of wire fraud, which cover more than $15 million allegedly stolen from client settlement funds. She ordered the prosecutor and Girardi's attorneys to begin the competency proceedings that will include an evaluation by an independent medical expert. The prosecution agreed to the testing, with the assistant U.S. attorney, Scott somebody, saying, quote, "The government does not oppose it and understands competency will be an issue in this matter. In the meantime, Girardi will remain free." Stevenson said Girardi can continue in his current living arrangement and memory care unit of an Orange County nursing home without electronic monitoring, such as an ankle bracelet. There will be no custody here, Stevenson said. This is bullshit. You guys know this. Please think about this for 1 second. You and your friend are committing, nobody wants to say they're doing anything illegal, but just say like you and your friend, I don't know, you go into a store somewhere and they rob the place and you take a candy bar and you both get charged because you took a candy bar even though they robbed the place and took a deposit back. And now you're in jail on $1 million bond, and the person that was with you doing bigger, more worse crimes is out free without an ankle bracelet in a memory care unit. Girardi's brother, Robert, who was appointed as his conservator 2 years ago, attended the hearing and agreed to sign an affidavit promising his brother's appearance in the proceedings on a penalty of a $250K bond. That's like your own recognizance, sort of. Asked by the judge whether he understood the responsibility he was undertaking, Robert Girardi, a dentist from Seal Beach, he's not a big dentist, he's not a corporate dentist, he has a dentist office in Seal Beach, replied, fully aware of it, and yes, Your Honor. The judge barred Girardi from selling or transferring assets valued at more than $5,000 without notifying the court. What assets Girardi still remain is unknown. He has been forced into bankruptcy with his residence sold and his belongings auctioned to pay creditors. Defendants normally required to turn over their passports. Supervising Deputy Public Defender Craig Harbour said Girardi, who once traveled by private plane with his wife from the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Erica, cannot find his passport. Quote, "If it is recovered, it will be turned over," the public defender said. So this is confusing because you got a public defender speaking. What's up with the deleted comments? I'm not sure what you mean. Sometimes people ask and they think that you're deleting comments, but if the comment never shows, what happens is there's like a community, I don't want to say like a filter, but that's sort of what it is. It's on Instagram too. So if you set up your account to have any sort of guidelines, if your comment has any like sort of keywords that the community guideline thinks that the comment is breaking those guidelines, it won't even post it. So it's not, I never delete comments. So if you posted it and it's not there, yeah, exactly. It's YouTube will or there's like a section I have to go into to look at those any comments that YouTube deems unfit. They go like into a special place, and then I have to go in and go through those comments and either approve them or deny them. But just like your DMs, you're not doing that all the time. You're typically responding to the comments that are like, coming up on your screen, but you can go check the other comments and you can see that it's the community guidelines. It's YouTube, actually. Exactly, Barbara. It happens to me on Instagram. Like, I don't even know what my comment was, and it didn't, but Instagram was removing it. It's weird. But this is a little strange because we have a public defender talking on Girardi's behalf. But he also had his brother there who's signing a $250K sort of own recognizance bond with no why not any electronic monitoring? That raises, I mean, maybe they can't afford it. Electronic monitoring is like, I don't know, $150 a week, I would say. Maybe that's why, but I would think that the courts would most definitely at least have an ankle bracelet on him. But they don't. It also says that he faces a second indictment in Chicago where a grand jury indicted him, his son-in-law, and a former chief financial advisor named Chris Kamen on several counts of wire fraud stemming from a $3 million misappropriated from a settlement with Indonesian widows and orphans. In the Chicago case, Girardi is scheduled to appear remotely on March 3rd to answer the charges, while David Lira, which is his son-in-law, is set to appear remotely Friday for his arraignment. Let's see what he's been up to when his next court date is. Like I said, it is very difficult to find anything on Girardi's son-in-law and daughter. They've done a very good job staying out of the press. See, I bet I can't even find anything, like an article with his court date. There's more on Erica's son online than there is I didn't know this. There was an article ran in June from the Los Angeles Times that's talking about the California bar taking the license of Tom's son-in-law, along with, the state bar to strip law licenses of Girardi's son-in-law, ex-employee. These are all back in February. There's really not. State bar seeks disbarment of Girardi's son-in-law. So that's actually going to be June of 2023. So the son-in-law keeps appealing it, and the state bar keeps denying his appeal. So it looks like the California Supreme Court implements ethics reform. Okay, this one was dated November 27th, guys. This is really, really current. So every time the California State Bar would try to disbar Tom Girardi's son-in-law, he would file an appeal. So they stated now that the California Supreme Court implements ethics reform in wake of Girardi's scandal. We also know that they wrote a 7-page explanation and apology because they received over 205 complaints on Tom that were never looked into. So at least they're taking some responsibility for it. I mean, this man was, making the decision on who passed the bar exam and who didn't. Can you imagine how many people paid just to pass the bar exam and he let them, you know what I'm saying? I mean, okay, we got a couple of videos of David. Is this David? Nope, it's just Tom. Just Tom. It's very difficult to find anything on his daughter and son-in-law. So, but yes. And then also don't forget that there was a judge that he was sleeping with that he gave allegedly, there was a check written to her, he also allegedly not built, but bought like a nice high-rise luxury apartment, I want to say in Santa Barbara for her. And she's kind of getting off scot-free because it's clear that the money came from victims. And she actually admits, I think, to him buying the condo that's in Santa Barbara. And she's done nothing to turn over those funds. And the state and the federal government have done nothing to collect any funds from her. So it's like, again, if I was Erica, I'd be like, why don't you go take it from the mistress first and then come back and talk to me? I mean, that's just what I would do. I feel like if I was Erica, I'd be like, why don't you check with his mistress who's like hauled up in her, in a place nicer than where Erica lives in Santa Barbara, like luxury, I think he bought it for her like 15 years ago. So it was before, the area was as built up as it was. But regardless, the money that it's worth now. Whew. What else did I want to tell you guys? Some headlines. People are talking about Kim Zolciak because she, again, I gotta go, guys. I'm sorry. I just realized the time it was. All right, guys. I hope you have a great Tuesday. We'll chat again. I'm doing my lives again regularly back on my YouTube channel. So make sure you guys hit that follow button, hit the like button, turn your notifications on. You guys comment, and then you guys can also email me at housewifehistorian2022@gmail.com. Have a great day, guys. Bye.